Hello everyone, welcome to Mahogany Sweets. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. I wanted to come and talk to y'all about these signs and stages that we're going through that are making it clear and evident that one world order is nearer and nearer, and that they are working to get it here quicker. So y'all might not notice, but these are a few things that I noticed that's going on right now concerning making a cashless society. That's one. We have seen that change has been being a shortage. Coins, certain places are even saying right now that they are not accepting cash, and of course I know that that is partly due to the coronavirus, which is why they're saying that, but this is also something that they have been planning and trying to do anyway, which is make a cashless society. How does this pertain to New World Order? Is because number one, if everyone globally, or if you get each country to begin to start moving away from cash, a certain type of currency, and making everything global to where there's one currency for you to be able to use with other people. And right now, that's going to be, what is it called? That's going to be currency through apps, through your debit or credit card, through technology. We're using currency, Bitcoin, and then debit cards, which can be used all around the world, right? So they're removing cash, and that is how that will play a part in that. And the reason why they will want that control is because if they move cash away from everything, that makes it easier for them to be in control of what people buy, sell, and trade, and what they can get their hands on as far as not being able to go outside the government and companies that they run to get needs that they have. If you pay attention and been watching, it's about 6 companies that have been buying everything up. Far as like for example, Nestle, that company owns tons and tons of stuff, not just food or chocolate. Companies like Amazon, Google, they are owning tons of stuff. Communication companies, they all have shrunken. They'll be in the hands of the same person. There's no such thing even right now really of saying, oh, I don't like this company, this brand, this corporation, I'm not going to use them, I'm going to go with their competitor. Is really a myth right now, because, well, not a myth, it's really a what would the term be that I'm trying to say? It's really an illusion right now, because I worked for a phone company before, and even then it was only, I believe, 4 communications companies then that owned all of them. So you like, oh, I don't like Sprint, I'm going over to Boost owns Sprint, and which I might be wrong about which one that they own then, but now it has even narrowed down more to where it's literally one company that owns all communications outlets. It's going down to one company owning pretty much all of the water supplies, different brands of water. We've been knew that they make a higher end version of whatever their product is. That's really, even if you get paper plates, Dixie still owns the foam dollar Dollar Tree place that you get from a dollar store. So they already have that going on, but now it has shrunken even more. And one of the things that they want to do in One World Order, how they can have mass control, is if we are in control of your bank account. It's a cashless society. You can only use our virtual money. They're in control even more so of what you're buying, when you're buying it, where you're buying it at. They're in control of if they're going to let you buy or not. I don't know if y'all paid attention to this, but this was some years back during the Brexit situation over there. They literally the banks went into those people's account and took their money. They decided that they wanted to take their money and just took it, and the people had no control over it, could not get it back or anything like that. And then they also had to get in line, and that country over there told them, here, you can get in line at this bank, and this is how much money we're going to allow you to have out of your own money, out of your own bank account. So not only did they take money from their bank account, they also dished out how much they could use of their own money. We already know on water they do that now. In the summer months they decrease the water flow and stuff at certain times, so they're already controlling your water, how much energy you're using in your home, and then their controlling power goes so even more. And you have to pay attention to what's going on in foreign countries, because normally what's going on in foreign countries is eventually going to affect you, or is affecting you already, and you may be unaware of it. So the fact that they did that some years back, Of course, here we didn't make that big of an uproar about it because it wasn't our country, and we felt, oh, our country would never do that. But the saying is true: what you allow to the least of the people eventually comes around to get everyone. We know the scriptures. Even if you don't believe in the prophecy in the scriptures, it's still evident and showing itself to be true outside of that. But we know that the scripture said it will come to where you cannot buy, sell, or trade without the mark of the beast, and it will be for the free as well as the bond, which means those who are in prison, who are captive, as well as those free. It will be for the rich and poor. So if you're thinking that, oh, well, I'm so poor, they won't be able to be in control of my stuff like that, that's not true. If you think, oh, I'm so rich, that gives me more power and privilege, it won't happen for me, that's also not true. It's stated biblically that none of that matters. It don't matter what continent you're on. It don't matter what your race, nationality is. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is. None of that matters. It doesn't matter if you're in prison or if you're free. You are going to be under their rule and subject. So I wanted to point that out. The cashless society thing, them not having changed now, going back up, is a clear indication and sign of moving closer into one world order. Then we just had over in Russia, Putin. He supposedly had an election to see about changing the law to be able to have a longer presidency or rule over in his country, right? So he got it. The law was passed for him to be able to go and continue to rule into 2036. Like, just think of how much longer that is. That's close to 2 decades. And he's already been ruling for over a decade, damn near. So they're changing the structure of the terms of presidents and kingdoms. Now, this is in Russia, so you might think, oh, that's far-fetched, that's far from here. But little do you know, already on American books, a president can stay remaining seated if war or martial law is enacted. And if you're in the middle of war, I'm talking about war here on our continent, well, in our country, or war within civil unrest as far as martial law, a president can remain seated. Also, as they just done there, created this bill, put in the Constitution, that a president can sit longer. That will eventually come here to America, where presidents will be allowed to sit longer, where they will be allowed to run for as many terms as they want to stay in office. And one of the issues that they're having in Russia right now is the voting that took place for it. The journalists have been coming out saying that when they looked at the ballots, you can tell that these were fake ballots, forced ballots, for that were turned in his favor. They were fake. They were fraudulent. But there's nothing anyone can do. And then that's the other thing, though, with voting, is we're not the mass, the people, we're not the ones counting the ballots. So you don't know how other people voted. And the majority could be voted one way, but we don't know that. So they can tell us that it was voted however they want. The majority of those people claiming there that they did not vote for him to be able to get that amount of term. But individually, they don't know how everyone else voted to know if it's a lie or not. But when they looked at the ballots, you could tell that it was already through the computer system, it was set up for it to print, to have certain markers. And they noticed that the majority of them had those markers. So it was fraudulent. Is that going to matter over there? At this point, it doesn't look like it will. It's more so the journalists are just saying this is what their research shows, that the ballots were fraudulent. There's pretty much nothing they can do. The bill has been passed saying that it was in favor of what the people wanted, and he will be able to serve to 2036. That could very well happen here, where they will, because you got to look at it. Our mindset is thinking, okay, here we see these issues and problems in this country that need to be corrected, wrongs that were made that never should have been. We can correct them now. Let's restructure the Constitution. And you may be thinking that while you're rooting for them to tear down a Constitution, that this is going to work in our favor. They're going to correct these wrongs that were done, and everything is going to be great. And that's not necessarily the case. They will take down that constitution with you begging for them to do it, and then rebuild it up whatever way they want. And guess what way that's going to be? New world order, where they garner more control, more power, take away more of your freedoms and rights, and you have no choice but to roll with it. And it'll be because of our own ignorance and begging them to do it. Like, just think when 9/11 happened, right? Everyone was so fearful and so afraid that we begged for them. Yes, take our freedom, and that's what will make us safer. And that's exactly what they did. They took certain rights. I won't just say freedom. They took certain rights and privileges and liberties that we had, and we begged them to, under the guise that it would make things better for us, when it kind of didn't. It just gave them more power and control to spy on us, to monitor us, to track us, to take data and research on us, and remove privacy from everyone. So with this constitution thing that just happened over in Russia, that will come here, and that does lead closer to a new world order. And the reason why is because if we want a new world order, of course we're going to still need people in place to govern these continents, these countries, these towns, right? But if we are the ones who chosen these people, I'm not talking about us the public, I'm talking about the people, the powers that be, that want this system. For them, it works better for them to elect one person by their choosing to stay in that position and hold it down and run it. Which will be why in Russia that had just passed and taken place. And my last thing, this might not be my last one, but my other thing that leads me to we're heading closer to New World Order is we have the Iranian government, president, leader, calling for the UN, the United Kingdom, the United Nations, to put a warrant out for a president of another country's arrest. That should tell you right there, one world order. If that was to happen, that tells you that's one world order. And the reason why is because another country cannot like another president, something that they did that was wrong. The most power that what the United Nations serves as is a committee of these multiple countries, since no person, no land is an island unto itself. It still has to interact with the rest of the world through trade, through treaty, through even the environment, the weather, what happens in the environment. It affects every place on the earth, not just this particular country. Like if your country creating tons of pollution, it's not just affecting that country, it's affecting its neighboring countries. It's affecting what's going on in the water, affects all of the countries, since we all technically use the same water supply. We all breathe the same air around the globe. So the United Nations works as a committee to try and have peace, work together, and mediate and do what's best globally for the world, for people. The United Nations, the most that they can do when they have a problem with a country and its leader, President King or whatever, is they can try and put sanctions, which we see that happens. They can even go to war with them if they choose to, right? But that's as far as they can do. Sanctions and go to war. The fact that you have an Iranian king, prince, president, whatever, leader, asking the United Nations to put a warrant out for the arrest of a president of another country tells you one world order. Because that's not even possible to do, given the way that the world is set up with sovereignty and stuff like that. With nations having sovereignty. So if that was to pass through, that's a hint and an invitation. The fact that people have so much hate for Trump, they're not realizing, or probably won't realize, that him asking for that president's arrest, a warrant, means we don't have sovereignty then. That means that it's another greater leader, and he's pretty much working as a governor. A president, a king, the only people he's supposed to serve is the people in his country. He does not have to answer to other countries as far as them being able to arrest him. Like, when have you ever heard of that? You can go for a king's head through war. You can say, I'm not working with them anymore as far as having treaties, doing trade with them, importing, exporting goods. But that's as much as you can do. This is not a good sign that we have a world leader, not a world leader, one of the leaders for a country asking for the arrest of another leader of another country. That's not a good thing. That means we're closer to one world order. The fact that if it's possible for our president of our sovereign country to be arrested, and people think that it's funny and they're making a mockery of it, and then some people might hate Trump enough to where they like, yeah, arrest him and get him out of here, not looking at the bigger picture of that means we're not a sovereign nation. Then if the United Nations all come together and say yes, we're going to arrest this president, then that means that should really remove the wool over your eyes to know the people don't have power. We're not the ones running our country, and even the people who we elect and put in place aren't the ones running our country. They are answering to an outside entity. The United Nations and their leaders are the ones running our country. So also, if they arrest him and take him, how much do you really think we're actually voting the next one in if that was to happen? So these are all clear signs we are moving closer to one world order, people. The Iranian president putting in a request to the United Nations to put a warrant out for our president's arrest. The fact that Russia just went into the Constitution and changed it, that Putin will be allowed to reign till 2036, possibly even longer, that will eventually move over to the United States, which we already know in some kingdoms, some nations, they already have a king to where, right, that person rules until the day that they die, and it goes on. But the United States is not one of those, and Russia was not one of those. It's supposed to be a democracy, which the people decide who's in it. The reason why they have stipulations on the amount of time a person can serve is because of corruption, and absolute powers absolutely creates and breeds corruption. So we have enough knowledge to know that's not the best and smart thing to leave a leader sitting in a position for several years, because now this is a one side. It's too much power. It's one-sided for them to decide in the hands of one person how everything is run for that country. It removes the voice of the people due to the fact that one person sitting in power, especially for that long, now they have all the time in the world to create the agenda and be a dictator in how they want that country to run on their narrow-minded view of however they think. Which we know here in the United States it's been infiltrated that they are voting in power, people who are still moving to their agenda. So yeah, we know that here in the United States it's under illusion. We have a different face, but it's still carrying out the same agenda. It is still some things that are different due to the fact you can end up getting ones who have a change of heart, who aren't willing to go this far, or who aren't willing to do that, although they might agree on this and that. So that's just my point about that. And then with the cashless society thing, they're going to take it to where globally there's only going to be one form of currency. Because with one world order, that means one religion, that means one government. So all the laws, rules, and stuff will be the same for every land. That means that people will no longer have asylum if under one world order and government. People will no longer have diplomacy under one world order and government. People will no longer have privacy. It's a lot. We will be very much so under the full control of the United Nations, if it's going to be that table, that head that decides on what all the laws, rules, guidelines is going to be for the entire world. So just think on these things, do some more research. I'm going to do some more research, see what's going on about. And, I forgot one. One of the other signs, one world order. You have Bill Gates talking about mandatory vaccinations worldwide to where it is not an option. Like I said, stripping you of all your free choice, free will, and diplomacy. Mandatory vaccinations globally, as well as chipping. We know that a few years back, down there, I believe in Silicon Valley, Wisconsin, employees had willingly gotten chipped to be able to get into their work, get into their job building, and get out and do certain functions within their job, right? And then we also know that they had also, one of the ways they strategize us wanting the chip is, okay, you can put it in your dog, so that way if your dog ends up missing or lost, it'll be easier to find them. and missing children being kidnapped. So they put that in parents' minds, like, you want to get your child chipped because if they ended up kidnapped or lost, it will make it more easier to find them. So they had been pitting these things and rationalizing them to us over the last decade or so, and some people have opted to get it, but soon it will not be a choice. It will be mandatory to where you're, because I remember when a job switched over to where you had to use a thumbprint to even be able to clock in and clock out and work, sign on to the cash register and stuff. And next then it will be the chip. So we need to think about what exactly is it that you want to do if your job or your state demands that you have to get the chip to be able to work. Are you going to quit your job? Are you going to say, okay, I'll get it? Because this is the thing. If they put that chip in you, don't think that it's a such thing as, oh, it's turned off. Like, no, it's going to have all of your information hooked up to a main database core system globally. And you have to remember that you have hacking. Some people think, and one of the things that they try and tell you is, well, if you have a chip or if you have all of your money and finances connected to that, then that rid your chance of being robbed. You know, you don't have cash, because even with the debit card, that's something. Well, if you don't have cash, it limits your chances of being robbed. But we know even with the card, it was other ways for people to be able to rob, steal from you. The chip or whatever, it would still be ways for people to be able to rob you, because they can literally hack you. Now all they gotta do is hack that chip. And we know scammers out here, they be more up on something what the government be up on it, as far as knowing loopholes and how to maneuver and manipulate this technology. So now they'll be going in there for money, but now they have your entire name, your children's name, what school you go to, what job you work at, what all you own, what access you have, where you even are physically at that time. Just think about that. They can hack into that system and know exactly where you are even at that time. Your family members, whoever else you're connected to, because we see our phones technically already is giving that information out already. When your phone is constantly saying it's updating normally about once a month, or your TV normally about once a month, what it is doing is it is transferring all the data it has collected on you, such as not just of what you watched or in your phone, what apps you went to. It is also collecting the data of your conversations that you had on your phone. It's collecting who all you called, who all called you, how long y'all talked, even voice, what y'all were talking about, your text messages. That's what that phone is updating. That's what it's updating. Sending all of that information to the main membrane database core for its log that it has of you. And same with your television, your smart TV. It's logging everything that you watch, what time you turned it off, what time you went to bed, your conversations, who all names you call, who all was present at that time. Like my son, he thinks it's so cool because my parents have cable and it has the because I just use apps. I don't do cable or anything like that, just Wi-Fi and apps. But anyway, he thinks it's so cool that he can pick up the remote and he just talks to the television or to his tablet. And I don't. To me, I'm like, no, I don't want them already having a study log of my voice, and then in your conversation of everything that you say, they can take that and, what would you call it? They can take it and break it apart and make conversations that you didn't even have, due to the fact that they have logged so much conversation of yours already, to where they can be forging your voice to seem like you have stated something that you didn't. And we know that that's possible because we've seen videos edited like that all the time on YouTube and stuff like that. So just imagine how many times in real government official news that they've actually probably done that to world leaders, senators, and stuff like that. We know that in our phones, we give them permission to send messages and to delete messages, retract messages. Why would they possibly need to be able to do that? Why? Just tell me, what sense does that make, that my phone, for me to take a photo, needs the permission to send text on my behalf and can delete text on my behalf? So they could be doing anything. And I don't know, when I just think about like that CIA, FBI type of stuff, shadow government type of stuff, Yeah, they could easily. Let's say I am a world leader, someone in high position in government or something. I'm not bending or playing ball the way that they want. They could forge a text and send to a world leader saying that framing me for a crime, killing me, saying I committed suicide. Like, it's so much that can be done, sinister things that can be done with this information that we have given them permission to do, and that sometimes they strong arm us into having to give them permission to do, or else we can't use a necessity like I know, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's a lot of cold in my throat for some reason, probably because I got the air conditioner on, that's sitting up on the air conditioner. Excuse me. But yeah, like DTE told me, no, Harry, give me your email. All of your payments have to be over the internet. Like, I have to pay virtually for everything with them, and they send receipts virtually and stuff like that. And you downloading and opening these different apps and stuff that you're doing, you have to get permissions for all this stuff. And to me, I read the permissions that it be one, and I be like, how in the heck is that necessary? Why do you need that? So they are getting so much of our privacy, our data, our rights, through all different means. And then, so if you say no to one, like, okay, well, this is just a social app, I'm not about to give over my permissions for that. They still have you on the getting all of that, because then you, for your Gmail, for your email account, you have to still give them same permission. So they set it up to where no matter where you turn to or how you try to dodge them being able to have all this information, they have it. They have access to it. Like, I have caught my phone before taking a picture of me, and I wasn't. Matter of fact, it wasn't the phone, it was the tablet or whatever. And I'm like, why is it taking a picture? And then this is why I had paid attention to. It was actually my son's tablet that I was using at the time. And I believe the reason why I did it because, okay, it knew, and it's already have footage of him and took all of this information from him, and is aware of him as the user, right? And tracking him. But I was a new person who now have come into contact with it, and they wanted to store information on who else was using that device. So it's hard, since everything has now been pushed into technology and virtually, to be able to function without having certain things. And one day it's going to be hard to make the decision to say, I got to get rid of all of this technology, because it has given over too much of my rights, personal information, too much of my data, too much of my privacy to them. So anyway, these are things that makes it evident that one world order is closer than what we all think. It is here. You will not be able to buy, sell, or trade soon without, I'm going to say the mark of the beast, but I'm not, without the chip, because they are making a cashless society. And soon, debit and credit cards, they're going to still say, oh, well, that's not secure enough. No, we need it in your body. And I don't think that these things are healthy and beneficial or best for us. Because that's ridiculous. That gives them complete control, you guys, over everything. So they will be tracking and knowing, as they somewhat already do, everywhere you are, everyone who you know, everything that you even like, that you eat, where you eat, what schedule you're on, like just everything. Where you might as well, tell me how you would feel about this if it was a person with a camera crew on you. A person with a camera that was on you 24/7, every single day, as you sleep, everything that you did, they seen and heard you doing it. It was no way to dodge it. That's basically what it would be. And it will be going into a main data frame of these people who are monitoring it 24/7. And I don't know what we're going to do. I don't want to live in a world like that, but it's kind of like, I have no choice. We don't really have a choice. But anyway, I just wanted to come and let you guys know that. I don't want to scare you or freak you out. I just wanted to make you aware of these things that I noticed over the last week that are going on, that are dangerous to a democracy, dangerous to rights and privacy and free will choice that every individual should have. Have a great night.